Ashe. Ashe is the word, the source of I and I ancestors. Ashe is the source that holds all things together. Ashe is I source, I shield, and I protector. Ashe is I source, I guide, and I spiritual provider, and I provider. Ashe is I source, and that is why I am not black. Ashe is I source, I cannot be lack. Ashe is I source, I light, and I deliverer. Ashe is I source, I healer, and I teacher. Ashe is I source, I leader, and I spiritual fire. Ashe is I source, I strength, each day I be more and more. Ashe is I source, I spiritual comforter, each day I be more stronger. Ashe is I source, I sustainer, each day my life is filled with more pleasure. Ashe walk with I daily to much green and greener pastures. Ashe walk with I beside some very cold and deadly waters. Ashe walk I through the valley of blackness and under the shadow of blackness. And so I fear no evil, or what the devils may try to do. For it's Ashe, I say. Ashe, 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 I say. To you all my highly enriched melanin, my highly enriched carbon skin brothers and sisters, my fellow Africans, Mother Earth's original, Mother Earth's natural, native, and organic humans the world over. It is I, the Mystic Philosopher, and welcome back one and all to this, another perspective with I, the Mystic Philosopher. It's high time for reason and for reasoning. As it is my custom to do, please let me take this opportunity right here and now and say goodwill to all those of you that have given, and all those of you that may give, and all those of you that will give of your very limited resources, aka your very precious time, to join in, to watch and to listen this video broadcast and podcast. Goodwill to all those of you that take time out of your schedule to subscribe to this my YouTube channel called The Right Number, and to my blog post at themysticp.com. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take time out to donate and to support what I'm doing, sharing another perspective. And especially goodwill to all those of you that have, that may, and that will purchase and support my music and messages in songs. The link is right in the description section of this video, and this and all my videos. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take the time out to participate in the discussions, to critique and to write comments. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will intelligently, informatively, and respectfully rebut with the honest intent of highlighting or correcting any and all possible statements or information that you might perceive to be erroneous and misleading, or that you can or that you may prove to be incorrect or misleading. And goodwill to all those of you that will share your own perspectives on any of the topics that are covered in this or any series of lecture presentations by I, the Mystic Philosopher. Welcome, thank you, and goodwill to you all. The title of this lecture, this podcast slash blog post is Justice or Revenge. Is there a difference? Another perspective by I, the Mystic Philosopher. It is also part of my series of presentations called The Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell, aka the Black Spell. Now, I have received a few questions and comments from a few of my listeners, my critiques, associates, and even some of my own family members that goes like this. Quote, Mystic, why do you sound so revengeful? Why are you so revengeful? Why do you speak so much about revenge and retribution? Why can't you learn to forgive and forget? Why can't you let bygones be bygones and live and let live? Don't you know that in order for you to receive forgiveness, you too must forgive all those who have or who may have done you wrong? Unquote. My objectives in this lecture presentation today are as follows. It is to first and foremost give you, my listeners, the meaning and definition of the English word justice and revenge from the English dictionary. Second, it is to show, explain, and prove to you why, from my perspective, justice is revenge and revenge is justice. 3, it is to show, explain, and prove to you that in all practical reality, there can be no justice without revenge. Or to be more precise, that there is no true justice and that there can be no true justice without revenge. 4, it is to show, explain, and prove to you that when I, the Mystic Philosopher, speak of revenge, I speak of justice. 5, it is to show, explain, and prove to you the distinction or the difference between justice and a justice system, aka the justice system. 6, it is to show, explain, and prove to you that revenge equal justice is synonymous with retribution. 7, it is to show, explain, and prove to you that all those who forget the experiences of the past are doomed to repeat it or to repeat them. 8, and if time permits, it is to show, explain, and prove to you that the ideas and doctrines that not only suggest that we melanin people, we the Earth's original, pre-Adamic and organic humans, should forgive and forget, that we should let bygones be bygones, live and let live, and that in order for us to receive forgiveness, especially from our enemies, God and gods, that we must first forgive all those who have or may have done me wrong, is rubbish, utter nonsense. That those ideas, doctrines, and teachings are insults to the memory, to the honor, and the sacrifices of our most honorable African ancestors. That they are insults to our intelligence, and above all, to our humanity. It is to show, explain, and prove to you that they are the ideas, the doctrines, and the teachings of our enemies and their God and gods. Ideas, doctrines, and teachings of our demonic conquerors, slave traders, slave masters and mistresses, and vile oppressors that are inspired, designed, and propagated by their agents of force and forces, and their ministers of politics and religions, for the sole purpose of keeping us melanin people in ignorance, in mental and physical slavery, and under their subjection and subjugation, aka under the curse of the black spell, the B-lack spell. So let's begin. Now, if or when any of you, my listeners, are interpreting my use of the word revenge as a malicious intent on hurting or harming people, then I must let you know that you are completely wrong. From my perspective, and for all practical intents and purposes, the word revenge is synonymous with the word justice. The way I see it, from where I am currently looking at it, revenge is all about justice. Please let me break it down for you by carefully examining the two words individually. First, the word revenge. Here we notice that the word revenge is made up of two words. The word or the prefix re and the root word venge. First, the word re, aka the prefix re, re. According to one online English dictionary called dictionary.com, and I ask that you please verify these things for yourself. The word by meaning and definition, the word re by meaning and definition is, and I quote, re, word origin, a prefix occurring originally in loan words from Latin, used with the meaning again or again and again to indicate repetition, or with the meaning back or backward to indicate withdrawal or backward motion, regenerate, refurbish, retype, retrace, revert, unquote. So from this we can logically summarize that any English word to which the prefix re is attached, means to do over or to do again. According to the word reference dictionary.com, or according to word reference dictionary.com, a website of the English, the root word venge is defined as, and I quote, venge. Root, venge, comes from Latin, where it has the meaning protect, avenge, punish. This meaning is found in such words as avenge, revenge, vengeance, unquote. According to the etymology dictionary, the word venge is listed as a verb, and it is defined as, and I quote, avenge, as in the 13th century from the Old English, rather the Old French, vernier, revenge, avenge, punish, from Latin vindicare, avenge, vindicate, and it also made reference to see vindication, unquote. Revenge, according to the Google search English dictionary, is, and I quote, 1. The action of inflicting hurt or harm on someone for an injury, or wrong suffered at their hands. 2. Inflict hurt or harm on someone for an injury or wrong done to someone else. Unquote. Again, I ask that you please follow me by looking up these words for yourself, so you can see that I'm not making these things up. Here I humbly ask that you please carefully note and understand that quite unlike the programmed, mechanical, inhuman, brutal and unconscionable characteristics of our enemies also known as the Adamic race, or who are the Adamic race and races, the civilized races of mankind, and what they would like us all melanin people or all African people to think and to believe. The word revenge does not mean, and nor is it, it does not mean, and nor is it defined as or is in any way imply that anyone, especially someone that is a natural earthly human of sound mind, would sit back and premeditatedly devise an evil plot such as to covertly or overtly invade, destabilize, sabotage, conquer, capture, colonize, exploit, enslaved, commit acts of genocides and exterminate peoples from their homeland, from their home and land. Not at all. For your information, the word revenge does not mean, and nor is it defined as or in any way imply that anyone, especially someone, a natural earthly human of sound mind, to sit back and premeditatedly devise an evil plot such as a preemptive strike or a preemptive military strike on or a preemptive attack on a country, a nation, or people, to devise a wicked, calculated plan to harm or hurt someone or to hurt some people that they don't even know, to hurt somebody or some people that they have never seen, that they have never met or heard of in their life, and above all, to harm or to hurt somebody or some people that have never done them or their families, their loved ones and friends any harm. Those are the unnatural behavior and manifestation of our enemies, aka the aliens, the devils, the humankind that has no conscience, no human conscience, that has no empathy, that has no soul, and has no humanity. Those are their characteristics, their manifestations, and their behavior. Here are some synonyms for the word revenge, according to the said English dictionary. 1. Vengeance, retribution, retaliation, reprisal, requital, recrimination. Examples: an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, tit for tat, measure for measure, getting even, redress, satisfaction, repayment, payback, etc. Now, what is justice? Or what is the meaning and definition of the word justice? First, or number one, justice by meaning and definition is, and I quote, just behavior or just treatment, the quality of being just, impartial and fair, unquote. Number two, justice by meaning and definition is, and I quote, the quality of being just, righteousness, equitableness, or moral rightness, to uphold the justice of a cause, the maintenance or administration of what is just by law, as by judicial or other proceedings, a court of justice, unquote. And that was from dictionary.com. From my perspective, not only must justice be done, but it must also be seen to be done. In other words, not only must justice equal fairness, equal equity, equal fair shake, equal right, etc., be done, but justice, must also manifestly, undoubtedly, and unquestionably seen to be done. For if the symbol and standards for justice is truly a measuring scale as depicted by the statue of Just Itia, the Roman goddess of justice that was often portrayed as evenly balanced, both scales and a sword, and often wearing a blindfold. The sword is ready to execute judgment, and the blindfold is a symbol of impartiality. Or even far more deeper and earlier than that of the Romans is our ancient Egyptian goddess Ma'at, who was and still is the personification of truth, justice, and the cosmic order that was observed and practiced in ancient Egypt, or in ancient Egyptian and African cultures and tradition. Our ancient Egyptian and African cultures and tradition, Ma'at, a goddess of justice. Therefore, if justice, should and must be balanced, fair and impartial for each and everyone, regardless of one's so-called nobility, color, creed, race, or stature, or status in society, or status in life, etc., today, then the scales of justice must be balanced in order for all to see that justice is done, that justice has been done, and that justice will be done. And not that a system of justice is done, that a system of justice has been done, or that a system of justice will be done. Justice, not a system of justice. Now, why do I, the mystic philosopher, say and maintain that there is a difference between justice and a justice system, or a difference between justice and the justice system? And why do I say and maintain that one cannot get justice and one should not expect to receive justice from a justice system, aka the justice system? First, I have just answered and explained in much detail and examples what is justice and what is meant by the word justice. I've just given you the definition and the meaning of the word justice and what it is. So let me now answer and explain what is a justice system so that you can see the difference. And to answer what is a justice system, we must first know and understand what is meant by the word system. And secondly, what is a justice system and what is the justice system. The word system, by meaning and definition, is, and I quote, a set of things working together as part of a mechanism or an interconnecting network, unquote. Our human body, let me give you some examples. Our human body is a machine, or if you prefer, the human body can be best described as a well-developed machine or a well-developed mechanism or machinery. And like all machines or mechanisms or machinery, it too is made up of a set of things, aka a set of parts that are working together in order to make the body function healthily and effectively as a whole. Each set of parts, aka each set of things, is called a system. And those sets of parts, aka sets of things, are called systems. For example, here's a quote from a website called study.com, subtitled, "What are the organ systems of the human body?" Quote, "In summary, the human body is made up of 11 important organ systems, including the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the excretory system, the nervous and the endocrine systems. They also include the immune system, the intergerminatory system, the skeletal, the muscular, and the reproductive systems. The systems work together to maintain a functioning human body." Unquote. Like the human body, the government, or more correctly, the body of people that is called the government, aka the mind controllers, may be described as a machine or a mechanism, a machinery. It too is made up of a set of things, aka a set of parts or a set of people that are working together in order to make the body function as a whole and effectively as the mind controllers. Each set of parts, aka each set of things, is called a system. And those sets of parts, aka sets of things, are called systems. Here are just 3 examples of such systems that work as part of the government, and so that the government will be done. The government's will be done. 1. The Canadian welfare system. Quote, "The welfare state in Canada is a multi-billion-dollar system of government programs that transfer money and services to Canadians to deal with an array of societal needs. Programs are funded and delivered by the federal, provincial, and municipal governments." Unquote. From my perspective, the truth be told, it is a government farewell system that is designed and employed to keep its beneficiaries or its victims in poverty, than it is intended to liberate them into a life of financial freedom, equality, prosperity, and wealth. Or at the very least, the evidence will show, and the evidence has shown, that the majority of people that have fallen victims to that system never become financially free, never become prosperous and wealthy. The majority, if at all any. 2 is the educational system or the education system. This is another government system that much can be said about what it is not versus what it really is, but more on that at another time. Just pointing out some systems. And the 3rd is the justice system. From my perspective, the justice system, as the name implies, is not justice. Just like an apple pie is not an apple, or is not apple. But it is a pie in which the principal filling ingredient is apple. The principal filling ingredients of an apple pie is apple. In other words, it has other things mixed and designed into it to produce the desired flavor, taste, and result for its maker, or for the baker, or for those who will eat it. And from my perspective, just like an apple pie, the justice system, aka the just us system, and the just then, or rather the just them system, is a system of government that is designed to defend, to protect, to maintain, and above all to produce and the desired results of and for the government, for its oligarchs, its wealthy, its elite. It is designed to protect and maintain via its agents of force and forces, its lawyers, its judges and politicians, etc. The status quo, aka to protect and maintain the existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or social and political issues. Within the justice system are what I personally describe as system branches, such as A, the criminal justice system, B, the civil justice system, C, the civil system, rather, the prison system, and then we have the court system, etc., etc. So by now, and for all that I've said, and from all that I've said, quoted, all that I've highlighted and explained thus far, hopefully you too, my listeners, should know and understand the difference between justice and a justice system, or justice and the justice system. Justice, that you should understand that justice is justice, plain and simple. That justice is, and again I will quote, just behavior or just treatment, the quality of being just, the quality of being impartial and fair, unquote. And how was justice or real justice done? How was it done? Or how was justice, aka fairness, justice, or rather, aka fairness, just treatment, impartiality, righteousness, equitableness, or moral rightness administered in ancient times? How was this done in our times? Among our people, among Egyptians and others? Well, according to our ancient Egyptians, not these we have now. Well, according to the code of Hammurabi, it was an eye for an eye, a measure that can also be found in the Adamic race, history and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible as well. An eye for an eye, justice. And for your information, especially for all those of you, my listeners, that do not yet know this fact, the code of Hammurabi refers to a set of rules or laws enacted by the Babylonian king Hammurabi, who reigned in Babylon from the year 1792 to 1750 BC, or before the Common Era, which is some 3,812 years ago, or approximately, if you will, 4,000 years ago. Here is a quote on the code of Hammurabi, the just, who I refer to as the just king, who I hereby refer to as the just king, or as a just king, a king for justice. And I quote, the code of Hammurabi is a well-preserved Babylonian code of law of ancient Mesopotamia, dated back about 1754 BC, or middle chronology. It is one of the earliest deciphered writings of significant length in the world. The sixth Babylonian king Hammurabi enacted the code, unquote, and that is from Code of Hammurabi, wikipedia.org. So you can find all this on Wikipedia. And according to that which is called the Old Testament portion of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, from the scriptures called Exodus 21, 23 to 25, the New King James Version, and I quote, we read, and I quote, "But if there is harm, then you shall pay life for life." Turn this down. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. Unquote. That is from the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. Exodus 21, 23 to 25. And again from the same Old Testament scriptures, the book namely Leviticus, chapter 24, 19 to 21. And this time from the New International Version of the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. And again I quote, it also makes the same assertion. And I quote, "Anyone who injures their neighbor is to be injured in the same manner. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The one who has inflicted the injury must suffer the same injury." Unquote. And if I might add, gunshot for gunshot. From my perspective, if this law or if these laws were admonished equally and without fear or favor to one and all of its citizens, then here we could authoritatively say that the aphorism, and I quote, "Not only must justice be done, it must also be seen to be done," unquote, is indeed a true and practical aphorism. And here also from my perspective, we can see that justice is synonymous with revenge. In other words, justice is true revenge, or true justice is true revenge. So from all these meanings and definitions of the word revenge, one must honestly admit and affirm that we cannot honestly look for revenge or seek revenge if we are not honestly looking for justice and asking for justice. And vice versa. We cannot honestly look for justice or seek justice if we are not honestly looking for revenge and asking for revenge. Anything or argument to the contrary, from my perspective, is evil. And most likely is coming from the evildoers and the evil ones, our enemies. Now I can hear somebody or some people listening to me and are saying to themselves and possible to others that the character in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, commonly called Jesus Christ, also known by others as Yahshua, that this character has abolished those laws with and through his crucifixion, death, burial, and resurrection, etc., as given in the story given in their book. And by them even quoting, I can hear them even quoting, allegedly, Jesus' own words, while claiming that he repudiates even the idea, Jesus repudiates even the idea of such laws. And I quote, "You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye, and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go a mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks, you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Unquote. Matthew 5 and verse 38 to 42. Now, from my perspective, these are just some of the trickery, the deceptions, and the religious hypnosis and weapons that our enemies, aka the malevolent slave masters and slave traders, their heirs and their successors, etc., use to both physically and spiritually confuse, enslave, abuse, and keep us melanin people, aka our African peoples, in ignorance and subjugation, and to have us continue manifest stupidity and baboonry. You name it, or you name them. And here is just one more reason and proof that this book is not for us, and that if we will, or if we must read it, that we must approach it and read it with extreme caution. And never should we suspend while reading it. Never should we suspend or surrender our thinking, our natural thinking and reasoning faculties to their required belief system. Don't let no trickster come tell you that all you should is only believe. Use your own intelligence and your own reasoning faculties and thinking abilities to analyze, dissect, and to arrive at what makes sense and what is truth. Well, if the man or the character or the entity called Jesus / Yahushua was to appear to I, the mystic philosopher, personally, right now, and tell I those nonsense and bull manure that I've just read, I would say to him, man, you must either be crazy, you must either be a devil, or you're crazy, or you're joking, or you're seriously tripping. I would say that. And anybody can direct the message to him right now, that comment to him right now, because you have personal relationship and direct line telling that I, the mystic philosopher, says so. I'm tripping. That's nonsense. Now, please allow me to dissect this allegedly Jesus the wise man. Jesus who's supposed to, Yahushua who's supposed to be the epitome of knowledge, the epitome of understanding and wisdom. And above all, this character who's supposed to be the only begotten son of the Adamic race, and race is God. Own word. Let me dissect his own words for you and prove to you all of you that are sane and rational, are of sane and rational minds, that it is grossly nonsensical. And that if Jesus or Yeshua was the character that most people think and believe that he is, or that he was, then by no means would he have said such rubbish and nonsensical things. And I quote again verse 38, Jesus speaking allegedly, and I quote, "You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye and tooth for tooth," unquote. From my perspective, and for all practical sense and purposes, in reference to the scales of justice, the scales of fairness, ma'at, this law or those command or this command makes perfect, logical, and practical sense. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. For if the evidence shows, and if it can be proven that someone acting irresponsibly or maliciously, premeditatingly, intentionally, and deliberately injure and blind another human in one eye, then his eye should be premeditatedly, intentionally, and deliberately injured or plucked out as well. That's justice. Then and only then will the offender or offender really knows the evil that he or she has committed on his or her victim. And the same thing applies if you pluck out both eye, pluck out two of them for him too. And then and only then will he or she really knows what his or her victim has gone through and possible is still going through. For example, just recently, as in the month of June 2020, we are now in July. Today is the 2nd July, 2020. Here in Ontario, Canada, we saw where a Caucasoid Toronto police officer was found guilty of assault, but he was also found not guilty of the charge of aggravated assault and obstruction of justice in his or in their own Caucasoid court system and system of justice. Why? For the savage, inhuman, unconscionable beating of a young 19-year-old melanin youth named Devonte Miller 3 years ago. Or, to be more precise, the savage beating, the brutality, the evil took place on December 28th, according to reports on December 28th, reports that I've read, December 28th, 2016. Both the Caucasoid police officer and his blood Caucasoid brother were charged in relation to the vicious and savage assault on this one of my brothers, or may I take the liberty, Devonte, may I take the liberty and say, on this one of my grandsons. But not surprising or disappointing to the Mystic Philosopher, his Caucasoid brother was acquitted of all charges. He was innocent according to their system. He was acquitted in their Caucasoid court system. Or if you prefer, he was acquitted in their Caucasoid system of justice. Like a pack of angry, malicious creatures, piranhas, angry, ravenous wolves, viciously attacking a helpless and defenseless prey. The severe beating by the two Caucasoid blood brothers has not only left our young melanin youth, Devonte Miller, with all sorts of physical pains, mental and psychological trauma, and post-stress disorders, etc., 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 that he must now endure for the rest of his life. But it has left him physically blinded in one eye, aka it had left him severely handicapped. Now, because it is their court, their Caucasoid justice system, and not Ma'at, aka Mother Nature's justice, then other than the fact that he was charged by possible one or more of his possible reluctant colleague or colleagues, aka his fellow police equal agents of force officers, and the mild embarrassment that he has been found guilty, by his own system, by his own courts, a justice system that was founded and established by his Caucasoid ancestors and is maintained by his people for the benefit and security of him and his Caucasoid people. And also a system that he personally represents by force, enforcing and reinforcing it. The penalty that he will, or the penalty that he may receive for his evil action, for his malicious deeds, will be nothing more than a slap on his wrist when compared to the wickedness that he has done, the crime that he has done. However, if this was only about ma'at, if this was only about ma'at, justice, real justice, then we would do unto others as they do to us. This, from their own holy book, is what would make sense to I, the Mystic Philosopher. Quote, so in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. Matthew 7, verse 12, the New International Version, and it's allegedly the same character called Jesus is speaking, but the words make sense. From the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, if justice equal fairness are to be done, then in this case, only an eye for an eye is justice. And it must not only be talked about being done, but it should be seen done. Then at least one, if not both of these vile caucasoid offenders should have their eyes gouged out without any form of anesthesia, just as how they use the piece of iron pipe and beat the young teenager boy, or the young teenage boy, because he was a teen, and just as how they punched him and consequently blinded the young brother, Devontae Miller, in one eye. Now, just for your information, let their conscience set them free. Not just because one may not have been found guilty in their court system, in their caucasoid justice system, mean that he's free, or that he's committed no crime. He did not beat upon young Devontae. But it's their justice system, and we know how that goes already. But let me not get into that right now. That is justice. An eye for an eye. That is justice. And that would be real and true justice. But because it is not about justice for them, but it is in their justice system, aka their caucasoid system of justice, or more correctly, it's their just us, meaning just us, them, or just them system. Then they, meaning these two brothers, are allowed to go on living productive and fulfilled lives. They will now go on to even make money, or more money. Because according to some media reports that I have read right here online, that one, the one that was found guilty, the agent of force and forces, the cop, was already paid over $100,000 in 2016 alone. And it is also my understanding that he was being paid, from what I've read someplace, that he was being paid his full salary while on suspension and while the case was pending. So logic and activated common sense will affirm that through it all, he was still making money for his caucasoid system, or from his caucasoid system. For his caucasoid system, his justice equal just us equal just them system paid him money to ensure that he could continue to live large. It was like a paid vacation. And so after all this, he or they have done to my youth, he or they will possibly go on to marry the girl of their dreams, the boy of their dream, the trans of their dream, or the animal, or the whatever of their dreams. They have the right, they're free to do that. They will go on to possibly raise their individual family, to possibly raise another youth to come and blind another one of our people. Because it's in the blood, it's in the DNA. The evidence will show that. So they will possibly go on to raise their individual family, write books. It is possible that they or that he or they might even boast of the event and the injuries that he or they have caused this my young melanin fellow or this young melanin fellow while they're drinking or hanging out, partying with his or with their colleagues, with their families, with his or their families or his or their friends. He or they may go on to go to their church or to their place of worship to praise and worship their Adamic / their Caucasoid God and saviors, and be assured and to be assured by their pastor or their priest or their minister of religion and loved ones, etc., that their God, their loving God, the God of love, their heavenly Father, their merciful God, the Adamic race and racist God, loves them, that he or they are forgiven, if at all he or they can ever be convinced that he or they have done evil and that he or they are evil. That is if they can convince. That is if, because from my observation, humanity, conscience, empathy, remorse, that's not part of their programming or their being. So only if, but they will continue to live their lives. Yeah. While to the contrary, my young melanin brother, my grandson, if you will, must now not only try to live the rest of his life with the mental, physical, emotional, and psychological scars, the trauma of being dehumanized, being humiliated, being savagely brutalized, and left handicapped by this or those beasts, those creatures, and looking over his shoulder for possible revenge from you know who and you know what. Not justice this time, but malicious revenge, may I say. Malicious actions from you know who or you know what. Because that's their nature. Not nature, that's their programming. Yes. The young guy may still have to looking over his shoulder because these creatures are spiteful and malicious. But he now have to continue go on living the rest of his life with all these scars. Yes. But also he must also go on to try and live the rest of his life with the physical scars and the handicap of being blinded in one eye. Everything as far as naturality is concerned with this, my young grandson or my young youth. Everything for him as far as the world is concerned is fucked. Take away man's sight. You spoil his features. You know? You have to find somebody who truly respect him and want to start a family with him and whatever with him. His whole life is fucked because of these two devils. Yeah. Everything. While they now must go on and live happily ever after. Think I said God? Unless my ancestors doesn't exist. Anyway, I get to that. My fellow African people need to go back. We, my fellow African people, when you see incidents like these, we need to get back, not go forward into their systems technology, but we must go back to our ontology. Yes, we must go back to our metaphysics, to our science of spirituality. We need to go back to our ancestral ways of getting justice, aka true justice, of getting spiritual revenge. But I will have much more to say about that at another time or elsewhere. So please allow me to continue dissecting. Please allow me to continue dissecting this allegedly Jesus' own words, Matthew 5:38 to 42. And I quote, which I've quoted earlier for you, and prove to all sane and rational minds that it is grossly nonsensical, it's rubbish. Verse 38, or rather, verse 39, Jesus speaking allegedly again. And I quote, "But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also." Unquote. From my perspective, the advice, but I tell, and I quote again, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. This advice, under some circumstance, some extreme circumstances, this may be wise and may make good sense. Under certain circumstances. For example, if a thief or a gunman or a gunwoman holds a loaded gun to your head and asks you to hand over your wallet or your possessions to him or her, and is threatening to do you know what, then to put up resistance might not be wise, because you have to exercise wisdom. Might not be wise, and you could end up losing your life or be seriously maimed. So, wisdom. The same is true if or when a black police equal force officer pulls his or her weapon on you, or if or when a black Caucasoid or a black like-minded humankind points a loaded weapon or a loaded gun on you and tell you to get off their property or get off his or her property, or that you are under arrest, then to even attempt to entertain the notion of resistance or to resist them might not be a wise move. And no doubt you will, or you could end up losing your life. Again, wisdom. However, the evidence has shown, and will no doubt continue to show, that even without you as a melanin person like me, a melaninated human, thinking or attempting to think of resisting these diabolic alien creatures, they will still kill or maim or do harm, because they are born killers. They are programmed to kill us. They are trained and programmed to kill us. And it is in their DNA. And once that is activated, only our ancestors can either receive us home, or the spirits of our ancestral God save us. So the evidence will show, and the evidence has shown, that under certain circumstances, it might be best to comply. So I suggest that you use wisdom. And as Bob Marley said, he who fights and run away may live to fight another day. But more on this at another time. Secondly, Jesus speaking allegedly, and I quote, "If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also," unquote. From my Mystic Philosopher's perspective, if anyone among us, or anyone from among our people, is that is dumb enough, that is stupid enough to believe this ridiculous statement, let alone dumb enough and stupid enough to practice this to practice this lamb to the slaughter, self-attracted abuse by willingly allowing someone to slap them on their right cheek, and is still stupid enough, mentally retarded enough, to turn the left cheek to receive another slap or another blow from the aggressor, then he or she deserves to have his or her head completely severed. Possibly deserve to have his or her head completely severed, because maybe the person is a fool. for some reason, or for some unfortunate reason, I, the Mystic Philosopher, were to find myself in such a situation where somebody is bad enough, brave enough, confident enough, powerful enough, feisty enough, healthy enough, fearless enough, and powerful enough, as I said, to slap I a box, as we call it in Jamaica, aka to shot I a slap on my right cheek. And I realize that I'm helpless and that I can't return the injury. Or that if I then return the injury, there and then, by shooting them back a slap in the face, it could cause me more injuries and possibly my life. The only thing that I will turn is not my cheek, but it is my whole body to see if or how fast I could get out of there. And the speed by which I would run out of that situation, not even a bullet could catch me. Or it's possible that not even a bullet would catch me. Now I'm not saying that a physically badder man or a physically badder woman than I can't slap or then I can't slap I up in the misfortune, in the unfortunate event that I find myself in that situation. No, I'm not saying that. It can't happen. A Babylon, a beast, one of these devils will corner you and do it. We see they do it. We see the evils that they perform without even being provoked, because they're devils. They will just they can't help it. They will just simply shut your box and put you in a situation where when they're ready to kill you. You know that. So I'm not saying it can't happen. No, in the event that I find myself in that. But it would not be I, the Mystic Philosopher, that knowingly and willingly surrendering myself to such abuse. You box I is that because I and I suffer. Surrender myself to you for that abuse. You treat I a certain way, you lie and you do all these things. It's not because I surrender. It's because, the circumstances at the time and circumstances, it go. Right? I won't knowingly surrender to that abuse. I think that in some circumstances, for I and I, the Mystic Philosopher, death is better than disrespect or dishonor. In some circumstances, but I'll talk about that at another time. Verse 40, Jesus speaking allegedly, and I quote, "And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well," unquote. Here again, and from my perspective, this stupid statement could not be made by a caring and wise human. And anyone that believes this stupidity and follow and practice this logic is well deserving of the consequences of his or her own stupid actions. Yes, that fool is truly deserving of going naked and hungry on top of it. Verse 41, Jesus again allegedly speaking, and I quote, "If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Here again I ask that you take a good look at the word force and forces. And for those of you that may have listened to any of my previous discourses, especially on the Landscape show, I've watched some of my videos on my channel. That is also posted on my, lectures and discourses that is also posted on my YouTube channel called The Right Number. You will have heard me say and explain that the word force and the spirits that it enveloped is unnatural and thus it is evil, aka the force and the forces of evil. And that whenever or wherever we encounter or experience force, we both encounter and experience unnatural energies. Energies that are destructive and detrimental to our well-being, especially we as the natural native earthly human. Energies that are detrimental to our well-being, evil energies. For example, according to one online dictionary, the word force by meaning and definition is, and I quote, coercion or compulsion, especially with the use of threat or of violence. Coercion or compulsion, especially with the use or with the threat of violence. Unquote. And it gives some synonyms. Let me quickly give you some synonyms for the word coercion. That is equivalent for the word force. That is equivalent. That is here. Some synonyms that is. Synonyms mean similar in meanings, are words that can be used interchangeably for the word force. Coercion, just mentioned that. Compulsion, also mentioned that. Constraint. Con again. Constable, con. Duress. Oppression. Enforcement. Harassment. Intimidation. Threats. What is it now? Influence. Violence. Arm twisting. Pressurization. That's the word I couldn't pronounce a while ago. Pressurization. Unquote. And a classic and practical example of force, a classic and a practical example of this thing called force and the forces of evil, and the difference between justice, true justice, revenge, and the justice system is demonstrated and illustrated in this, the unfortunate, life-changing encounter and life experience of our young, highly melanin, our young, highly carbon-enriched brother, 19-year-old Davante Miller. My like-minded African brothers and sisters, the world over, I'm appealing to you now. I hereby humbly ask, like-minded, the world over, I'm hereby humbly appealing to you and ask you that in spirit and essence, in the spirit and in the essence of justice, justice equal revenge, justice equal true revenge and true retribution, that in spirit and on one accord, you please join I, the Mystic Philosopher, in presenting our young brother, Davante Miller's vile, wicked and malevolent abusers, along with all his abusers, collaborators, and conspirators, to our most honorable African ancestors and to our ancestral God and gods, to our God of justice, equal true revenge and true retribution, that our will for justice will be done so that he who or they who laughs last will laugh the best, so that Davante will laugh at those evildoers. Ashe, 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 I say. So this is the end of this lecture presentation titled Justice or Revenge? Is there a difference, another perspective by I, the Mystic Philosopher, from the redemption of the curse of the black spell, the black spell? And thanks for your patience and for listening thus far and to the end. I humbly ask that you please join me for another of my lecture presentation coming soon, where I will be speaking on the topic equality or revenge, another perspective, the Mystic Philosopher. I am the Mystic Philosopher. It's high time for reason, and for reason. Ashe, 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 I say.